Bemz, lovely to see you. Things are happening for you. Tell us a bit about yourself. Where are you based and how long have you been making music?
So, a little bit about what's myself. I'm Jabemi Ayuku. Born in Nigeria, grew up in London before I moved to sunny Scotland. I've been making music for just shy of 14, 16 years now. Like I started off just writing for banter, like writing with like my brother and all that stuff. But put out my first single at the age of like 16. I'm 28, so it's been a very, very long process, but I'm here now. So I'm currently based in Glasgow, and yeah, I'm just trying to just push Scottish hip hop as far as I could possibly take it.
Um, have you listened back to any of those early singles or any of those early tracks? Can you still listen to them?
Yeah, so I've listened to a lot of my older tracks, and I've taken a lot of it off. So I've got an EP that nobody can get a hold of. Do you know what I mean? Unless they downloaded it when it first came out. So that's like goldmine, and I hope nobody leaks it at all.
So you mentioned Scottish hip hop. What do you think of the state of Scottish hip hop right now?
So for me, I feel like Scottish hip hop is at a very interesting point. So I see it as like a diamond mine that just hasn't been touched yet. Does that make sense? And people are now slowly dipping into it, and they've got a rough diamond that doesn't really have much of a value to it at the moment. But I feel like with the right love and mentoring and guidance from people in the industries and other artists, that diamond can become something that's worth over £1 million. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I see Scottish hip hop right now. It's just breaking that point where people are now actually focusing on it and being like, wait, there's rappers from Scotland, there's rappers doing bits from Scotland. And that's why for me, like me being part of this, I hope it gives someone else an insight and be like, right, white days can be available for you if you're a rapper in Scotland. Do you know what I mean? So it's growing and it's growing and it's going to flourish into something that's beautiful.
And when we're talking about new producers, new rappers, anyone that you would recommend, anyone you think's a leading light at the moment, alongside your good self?
So for me, if I was supposed to make some what's called recommendations for producers, for example, there's a guy called Axel. Like for me, I think Axel is probably the best producer in Scotland. Like I know that sounds a bit biased or whatever, but he is amazing, as well as like Stephen Simpson. And when it comes to rappers, there's a lot of the youngers who are doing it and are really, really killing it at the moment. For me, my favorite one, I don't know, you've probably heard me talk about him a lot, is Washington. Like I feel like he is like the next thing. There's a group called what's called Triple O1S who are doing amazing bits right now. There's Loophole. I think he's in Edinburgh. Yeah, he's doing amazing. So like I could stand here and list you so many people who are like just killing it constantly. And I do hope that one day they get the opportunity to be in a position like this.
And do you think that the rest of the UK and eventually the rest of the world is slowly turning their heads towards Scotland when it comes to hip hop?
Yeah, well, for me, I think, the rest of the world are starting to realise what Scotland has to offer, because before I was even here, even understand, like my understanding of Scotland is electronic and indie music, because that's where a lot of the successes came from in the likes of like, Calvin Harris and stuff, you've got the Snots guys and all that. Lewis Capaldi, for example, Scotland hasn't really gotten that big hip hop name. Like we had the likes of Mad Hat McGaw, for example, who for me is like very influential, and he was the first one to do a Fire in the Booth from Scotland. Do you know what I mean? It's like a lot of people have like started it, but it's never really like been followed up and constantly. But I think like now with the talent that's coming out, we've got the likes of like Oaksy B who went on a rap game. You've got Ransom FA. You've got Shogun. Like there's now more than one person doing it. Do you know what I mean? And Global Couple, for example. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like we're reaching that point where people are like, wait, oh wow, there is actually talent there, So.
And all of the names that you mentioned, they're all quite diverse and all quite different. They've all got different styles of rapping. Now, you did mention the Snuts. You've been out on tour with them, you've collaborated with them, and you've collaborated with all sorts of different people.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of your collaborations.
So for me, the collaboration is a big thing about my music, because I'm trying to be more of an artist than just a rapper. So I was kind of fortunate enough to go on tour with the Snuts, and that came from me supporting them at the Barrowlands, which was like, you know, in the whole time of doing music, I've always dreamt of playing on a stage like an iconic stage like the Barrowlands, you know, and getting that opportunity was mad, you know, and then obviously doing London and Manchester with them. But like I've also done a lot of collaborations with a guy who's here, Chef, you know, like done a lot of work with him. And for me, not to be biased or anything, or not to be that guy, like my favorite piece of music that has came from what's called a collaboration is be the one that I done with Rory James, which was 26. So that came out last year as part of the Tenement TV what's called a collaboration thing that came about, and you know, meeting up with someone who's in a completely different field of music and you, and coming all together and be able to create something that's like magical and beautiful is special, you know.
Is it important to collaborate with non-hip hop artists, you know, indie bands, singer-songwriters, electronica producers, whatever?
Well, for me, I think it's very important to spread out and diverse who you what's going to collaborate with, because you just never know what will come out of it, you know. And I feel like, you know, in that thin line, that's where like greatness is born. Do you know what I mean? Where someone who strums a guitar and a rapper sit in a room and they're like, oh my God, we've just made something special. Do you know, like, I mean, I've done what's called a collaboration with people who do techno, or for example, you know, and there is that fine line where, you know, it could go left, it could go right, but that risk is always worth taking. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, what's called a collaboration then opens you up to new audiences. Do you know what I mean? Like, so for example, me doing all the Snuts, that opened my sound to a lot of like boys who like rap, but never really knew there was a hip hop scene in Scotland. Do you know what I mean? So it's very, very important, and it's very important not to diverse it, because you end up what's going to becoming a full artist, you know?
Yeah. Now, I would hope that you'll end up doing some collabs with people on the Wide Days roster. You've already mentioned Chef, who's playing. What are you looking forward to at Wide Days this year?
Well, for me, I'm looking forward to the whole experience of Wide Days. Like, you know, see, being here talking to yourself and the knowledge and everything that I can gain from the people in the industry that take part in it, you know, and being able to perform in such a well-renowned thing in Scotland, you know, like a music conference, you know, everybody, so when you think of it in Scotland, you think Wide Days, do you know what I mean? So see for my name to be part of that is amazing, and I look forward to just meeting new people, meeting new artists who are involved in this as well, who, you know, without Wide Days, I probably wouldn't have heard, or I would have heard of them later on when they've made it. Do you know what I mean? So being able to start conversations with them and see if we can create something beautiful together, that's for me is what it's about, and that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
And what about your performance? What can we expect from your showcase?
So my performance, I'm gonna come with some old music and some new music. So I'm gonna debut some new demos that I've been working on over the last year, since my last EP M4 came out, you know. So it's gonna be live, it's gonna be energetic, and it's gonna be fun. So
what have you got coming up then, release wise and gig wise?
So for the rest of the year, I've got a big schedule, I guess. So I'm playing a lot of shows. So I've got my headline show in King Tut's, I've got Wide Days, I'm doing Focus Wales, I'm going on tour with the Tenement TV guys, and then I'm playing a lot of shows in different places. And music wise, I'm now in the process of like ironing out my singles that are going to come out over the space of the year, which will lead up to the big thing that comes next year.
Okay, you're keeping that secret.
Yeah.
Well, it's lovely talking to you. One last question, going off grid slightly here. What is the widest thing that you've ever done?
Oh, in what sense? Because I'm thinking of a lot of wide things, you know.
Well, something that you can admit to publicly.
You put me on the spot here. I guess for me, the widest thing would probably kid have known that I was my own manager. You know, like that was very, very cheeky, but it worked. It paid out for me. You know, like I was able to send an email out and say I was someone else representing Bemz, and
here you are.
You know, so it's worked out. So
it's worked out. Well, look, enjoy Wide Days. Pleasure chatting to you, Bemz.
Thank you so much for your time, Jay.